what's wrong with how I'm doing
You're trying to get rid of us,
I am trying to tell you, you are on private property, and you need for
if
your
we're
own
behind the
safety
line,
and
what's gonna
environmental
happen?
compliance.
What kind of safety? Like, is this toxic? Like, is it unhealthy for us to stay in here?
I didn't catch your name.
So then it's okay to stand on this side too, right?
Because this is Norlite. Well, that'll be the railroad property if you're on there, which you're not allowed to stand on for the railroad. Here is private property where you will stand on Norlite.
Oh, okay.
Thank you for not calling the police.
Behind me is the Norlite hazardous waste incinerator. A hazardous waste incinerator is exactly what it sounds like. You take the worst types of hazardous waste materials, the kind that can kill in even a small amount if ingested, and you burn them. Now, you don't have to be a scientist to see how bad of an idea that is. My father was not a great individual, and my mother was a victim of domestic violence and needed to get out of the house that she was in. So she came here to Saratoga Sites, very conveniently located right on 787, the speedway, the bus, everything you could possibly need for a resident was here. And then fast forward till present day, we've been here for 20 years up until just a few months ago. And a couple years ago, before that, we were let known of this AFFF PFAS chemicals that was being burned at the Norlite hazardous waste incinerator that's just 100 feet away from where we're standing right now. In fact, we can kind of hear it right in the distance. The particles that get released in the smoke are extremely hazardous to the health of the people who live here, and they carry for many miles.
No, it's terrible what's going on. Because...
And I'm not only going to go for me, I'm going for the girls too.
Yeah.
They got to breathe it too. Her breathing's been real bad.
Residents within close proximity of here have experienced ailments such as asthma, thyroid issues, difficulty breathing, and neurological impairment. On a bad day, even the snow in this area is brown instead of white, like it should be. And we found that this dust was in fact from Norlite. It was in fact microscopic glass particles that could cause silicosis that can kill you. So we've pinned that on them. Our work has helped launch an Attorney General's probe, the New York State Attorney General, into investigating Norlite, as well as the New York State DEC looking into them a little bit more further and passing some of the first laws in the nation on PFAS incineration. And we're not done yet. Our goal is to get this place shut down. Residents, unfortunately, this summer will have to move from the Saratoga Sites public housing development where I've lived my whole life because of the pollution of Norlite. They're going to be relocated, and Saratoga Sites is set to be demolished. And after that, the city of Cohoes will then gain ownership of the property, and we have to see what they're going to do with that. Because in my opinion, the only great thing you could possibly do here is build a parking lot. People should not be living here, working here at all with the emissions coming from the Norlite facility that's just 100 feet away from where we're standing right now. My dad, who had never been a smoker in his life, died because of lung cancer when I was still a sophomore in college. He was only 49 years old. My sister was still a sophomore in high school at the time. He died within months of experiencing his first symptoms. And no one could do anything for him. He left his kids without a father, my mom without a husband, and our household without an income provider. It's a miracle my mom didn't lose the roof over her head at the same time she lost her partner. To this day, I think about my dad every day. Environmental pollution kills over 6.5 million people like my father every year, worldwide, devastating families like ours. I've never seen Paul Tonko here in my entire life. He's never gone door to door asking what's going on, what's the issue. He's never been here to reassure us of the process because this is a federal piece of property. Residents here are scared, and we've had no help from our federal representatives. Paul Tonko, the Congress member I'm running against, has represented this area for 14 years. In Congress, he serves as the chair of the subcommittee on the environment. We in the Capital Region are lucky enough to have supposedly the most powerful representative in the entire country when it comes to remedying environmental pollution. So what has Paul Tonko done about Norlite in all these years? Has he introduced a bill? No. Did he organize a protest? No. The only thing he did is that he sent a letter of inquiry, not a letter of outrage or a letter demanding that the factory be shut down. He sent a letter asking a few questions, and since then, nothing. Well, that's not exactly all he did. Last year, he also introduced a bill that would define waste incineration energy as clean energy. That is absolutely ridiculous. Does a hazardous waste incinerator sound like clean energy to you? Instead of shutting down Norlite that is killing his constituents, he's literally fighting to give them tax breaks. I think your advocacy probably has saved many people's lives at this point, and there's no telling how many more lives it has saved going forward. So in my humble opinion, I think you are a hero of this community.
Cars are constantly dusty out here. It's bad. It's real bad.
As a young kid, how do you begin to realize that something's wrong here? Something needs to be done?
Yeah, so when I was younger, my friends and I, we would go into the creeks and play with the frogs and turtles that we would find. But then there would always be a strange film over the water. Again, we're young, ignorant, we had no idea, we just wanted to have fun. So we kind of played in that. And then every single winter time I would get frustrated. You know, I would love the snow, I would love playing in the snow. But you could only play in the snow for the first couple days before the snow just got filthy. And if the snow stuck around for months on end, as it does in upstate New York, I mean, the snow is unusable. It's black, it's dirty, kids pick it up and their hands become, it's like they're playing in mud.
They say on their own website that they're carcinogenic. So you put the 2 and 2 together, you know, all this dust, which by the way, we just saw because we just walked past there, right? All this dust, and they're saying 9% of that on their own website is carcinogenic. You put the 2 and 2 together, you know, how could anyone believe for decades and decades that nothing was going on? If I'm elected to be your Congress member, we will shut down Norlite before they have a chance to say, where is my lobbyist?
People say, why don't you leave, Joe? Why don't you leave if it's so bad? Well, look at the rent prices. They were bad then and they're even worse now. It's gentrification at the finest, and this is environmental discrimination and racism at its finest as well. So it goes beyond just saying, well, just move. We stood up and we've held our representatives accountable.
I will immediately introduce a bill confiscating this factory by eminent domain. I have experience doing just that. When I was a legislative aide in the New York State Assembly, a greedy landlord tried to shut down a senior center and sell the building to develop luxury housing. I was tasked by a former boss to work with government attorneys to confiscate the senior citizen center by eminent domain from the developer. Long story short, 10 years later, the senior citizen center is still there. Even then, however, a factory like this can always move somewhere else. That's why I will also introduce a bill to ban all hazardous waste incineration. When someone says just move, I mean, what they're implying is you move, but someone else will come and live there, because there's always somebody who's not going to be able to find a place anywhere else. And so by moving, you're just exposing someone else to the same sort of thing that you were exposed to, right?
Yes, and that is why we really wanted the Housing Authority to stop moving in residents here to Saratoga sites. You know, the Housing Authority, a lot of people blame the Housing Authority for what's been going on. It's really HUD, the Housing and Urban Development, the DC division, because they can only do so much. And if the Housing Authority started to do something wrong, HUD would have taken this process completely over, and we would have little to no say as to what happens. So, yeah, I'm glad they were able to stop moving in residents, though. That was critical.
United States is the only wealthy country which still allows this sort of outdated, dirty waste incineration technology. Even North Korea has better, cleaner ways of disposing of waste than this. It's time to make the switch. At the same time, we will make sure that the workers who work at these factories are no worse off financially than they would have been had the factory not shut down. Workers should never bear the brunt of bad decisions made by wealthy bosses who exploit them. Do you know off the top of your head how many violations they've had over the years?
I mean, you can go on the New York State website right now and you can see just pages and pages of violations from 1990 at least. But their violations have expanded decades before that too. And also EPA as well. And again, fine here, fine there. They can pay it. That's the cost of doing business. They don't care about these violations. They just care about staying in operation. So if they can pay $25,000 here, $100,000 there, that's maybe a day's margin for them sometimes. It's a sick reality, and we have to change that. And we have to start electing more people like yourself who care about us rather than them. It's just the simple fact of we need more from our federal representatives, and we're just not seeing it here.
And for people who live in the community, who want to help Lights Out Norlite, who want to come out, how can people help?
Yeah, so we have a website, lightsoutnorlite.org. We also are on Facebook. You can also find me, Joseph Ritchie, connect with me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. We meet every other week about Norlite and the issues, so we're really excited to get more people on board with what we're doing.
Thank you so much for your time.
Well, thanks for coming. I appreciate it.
Join our fight and our movement against pollution. We are a grassroots campaign looking to help the Capital Region in fighting for justice. If you'd like to talk, go to our website at rarforcongress.com. We can use the help. Thank you.